Okay.
Blessings, everybody. Blessings beyond imagination. My name is TaShia Asanti, and I'm the host for Breakthrough Women, a national dialogue. I'm so excited to have these amazing women with us today. We're waiting on a couple more to jump on, but we're going to go ahead and get started. I want to tell you a little bit about our speakers, tell you about the work that they're doing, and tell you about the national dialogue of Breakthrough Women. So, this concept, this idea that we as women, as sisters, could come together, be able to share, be able to talk with each other, be able to share our testimonies of our courage, our bravery, our determination, and talk about our victories and the tools that we use to get to those victories. That's what we're going to do today. And I want to go ahead and just introduce one of our phenomenal women who is here with me right now. She is just so special to me. Leigh Beth Grode, who is a certified channel core energy life coach. And Leigh says her greatest joy is to help others grow, heal, and become the beings that they are meant to be. I met Leigh like 30 years ago, literally. We're, of course, only 35. So we met when we were like 5 years old. But Leigh is an amazing filmmaker. She is a producer. She is a mother, a grandmother, a wife, so many phenomenal things. And what I've witnessed for all of these years is your incredible resilience, your strength, your spirituality, and how you just touch and transform everybody who has the good fortune of being in your presence. And so I just want to just introduce you and just tell everybody, I know you're out there clapping for her and celebrating her. Oh, I see Rory has just come on too. I'm going to bring her on camera in just a moment. But I would love for you to share a little bit about your medicine, your testimony, the work that you've done to achieve so many things. Oh my God. I went to the premiere of your movie. I mean, there's just so many stories that we have. You are truly a phenomenal woman. Hey, and welcome everybody. I see y'all coming on in. We're about to kick it off. Leigh Grode is here with me. I'm about to bring Rory into the studio. And Leigh, tell us about your work, your mission, your testimony.
Thank you.
What did you break through with? How did you break through? What tools did you use to break through?
The tools I used to break through were are a lot of hitting the wall and sliding down, and making the decision I was tired of hitting the wall and sliding down.
Come on now.
And so for me, my path was one of a spirituality that began when I was very young. And the influences of something that I couldn't see, touch, or I could feel, but I couldn't touch it. And in those days, I couldn't smell it and I couldn't taste it. And I wanted more. And it started when I was 4 years old, standing at the door of my great grandmother's house on the Sabbath when she was lighting the candles, and watching her light these candles. And this overwhelming sense of awe came over me. And I literally was blown back on my little feet from this experience. And ever since that time, I've had many what we would call the burning bush experiences. I've had quite a few in this lifetime in this body. And there were some serious spiritual wake ups that have happened along this path. And one of them was recovery. That was a big one for me. I had to stop abusing myself in every way I was. And it was a long path, and it's been a long path, and I continue on that path. And then there were a series of I had a near-death experience before recovery, and then I was truly beaten to death in Amsterdam in 1991, and that changed my life forever because I got sent back to this place called Planet Earth, and I realized that my job wasn't done. And then again, more recently, I had a surgery, and when I woke up, I couldn't breathe on my own, and I closed my eyes. And this is years and years of connecting And I said, okay, if this is my time, then please take me quick, because my wife is standing there screaming my name right now.
Mm.
And if it's not my time, then please help me. And sure enough, they turned the oxygen up to 100 and I started breathing on my own. But those are the moments where there was like, not the possibility, not the questioning, but the absolute no. I have a direct connect. And as a grace, I have the ability to pull that divine love down and share it with others and have them find that space within themselves. And that's truly my life's work. It's not about what's on the news. The news doesn't report what's really going on.
Come on now, what? I love it.
It's like turn the TV off and find some people who are like-minded souls. And if you feel like life is getting to you so much that you're drowning or you're suffocating or whatever that it may be, you are not alone. We are in a new time. We are not in the old time. Things do not work the way they worked before. The awarenesses that we can achieve and the growth, the setting up of our growth patterns happens much quicker, much more direct. There's no middle people. It's within you. And my job is to help you go deep in your heart and connect with that spark of divine love inside you that makes your heart beat, to recognize that your flesh sits in your outer soul, that you are surrounded. We are all surrounded by our outer soul. And our work is to connect the inner spark with the outer soul and be in the oneness.
Oh my goodness. Whoo, well, I tell you what, I want y'all to just pause and take that in, because we have one more amazing, amazing breakthrough woman with us right now. And there's been a little bit of confusion about the time. I might have had a senior moment, y'all, with the time and messed up with some of my speakers. But we're going to figure it out. But I want to introduce, and Leigh, we're going to come right back to you because I know there's questions popping off. If you have questions for Leigh about her journey, about her coaching practice, about her work as a medium, as a healer, put it in the comments. We will answer the question. And we're also going to put how you get in contact with her if you feel, if she has something for you, some medicine for you. So Rory Mcmahan, I hope I said that correctly, has always been captivated by the beauty of the soul. She is one of Denver's most respected priestesses, teachers, and intuitive diviners. She has been a practicing witch and pagan priestess for more than 25 years. Hey, Darlene, welcome. Welcome. And oh my goodness, she has done her work in community. She's also a sacred and beloved member of the spiritual community that I founded. She is a mom, she is a daughter, she is a wife. Her family is just incredible. I love her husband, her daughter, everybody is so incredible. So, it looked like we lost you, Rory. Let me see. Oh, she's having some freezing energy. But anyway, she's going to be back in a minute and we'll tell you more about her. But she does phenomenal work. She teaches. She's a caregiver. She is a loving member of society and the world. So again, I'm so happy to have you here with us. Hopefully she'll be right back. She said her screen was freezing. And I see you, Darlene. Welcome, family. Good to see you. I don't know where you are in the world because you may be anywhere. But welcome to the conversation. Okay, there we are. Rory is back. And hopefully we're going to be able to bring her on camera in just a minute. I'm going to try and add her to the stream now. Okay, you are there, Rory. Are you unfrozen and can you hear us? We just gave you a roaring introduction. Give me thumbs up if you can hear me, Rory. Do you hear us? Oh, she's still kind of freezing. We see you, but we can't hear you. There you are. Yay! I heard you a little bit. But anyway, we'll let you kind of work on that and get it going. Hey, Joan. Joan is there in the comments. She says, this is amazing. There you are. Okay, you're coming in and out, but you're coming more in than out, Rory.
I'm going to help.
Oh, you've got a lot of feedback there. Keep trying though. Don't give up. But in the meantime, just sound off when you get in and you get a clear signal. Okay, we're seeing you moving pretty steady now, Rory. Give us a, hey, Sharon, Ashura, welcome. Welcome to Breakthrough Women, a national dialogue. And again, if you're just tuning in, my name is TaShia Asanti. I'm your host and the moderator for this discussion. We just heard a bit of testimony from Leigh Grode, her amazing story, gone, all the way to the other side and made it back. Rory is working through some technical difficulties. Hopefully she'll be with us soon. And Yolanda and Aiclia are coming. There was a little bit of a time issue. But if you're just tuning in, this is a conversation with women from across the nation. Okay, Rory's coming in on another signal. Okay, so I'm going to take you from that. Okay, I'm going to try it now. Let's try you now.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
I'm so sorry.
See, Facebook is not going to stop us from being great.
I wish I could say that was unusual for me, but
yeah, and there's Aiclia too. So almost everybody is here. Oh shoot, we lost you, Rory, again. Okay, we're going to add Aiclia. Welcome. Thank you so much, and forgive me for the time snafu. Me and my senior brain, y'all just love me. This is what I know. Welcome, Aiclia. I want to just go ahead and introduce you as well. Rory, one of our other speakers, she's kind of going in and out, but hopefully she's going to come in and stay in shortly. But I want to just introduce another amazing breakthrough woman, Aiclia Lewis Bicurian, which is her name, known all over the world under that name. And I had the amazing good fortune to work with Aiclia in Boulder, Colorado. She was actually my boss at one time, and she was the most phenomenal person and soul to work for. I had such a great experience working with you and beside you. Great leader, great visionary, brilliant spirit, and now the host of a very popular podcast. And also her work, and I know you're going to tell us more about your podcast, and also your work with Her Many Voices, a phenomenal organization. And I tell you, you're going to love some of these speakers tonight. I know you're going to get them on Her Many Voices, because I was sharing with Leigh. We ended up having like one of those late night, after hours, midnight conversations prior to the show tonight. And we were really I was telling her all about Her Many Voices and the work that you do around Earth Day and helping to heal the planet and promoting inclusivity and healing. So I want to just ask you to hold on for one moment, because we got Rory clear for a minute. So I'm going to try to get her to sound off and tell us about your breakthrough. And
me?
Now
that you can finally hear me, my breakthrough is getting this to work.
Okay, that's all right.
I'm classic for the tech mishap, so apologies. But just like wave at me if I suddenly freeze or go out.
Okay.
So yeah. So a breakthrough moment for me was when I realized that I needed to really allow myself to change. And when I thought about this particular question, there's so many things, so many events that can come to mind. But I think the thing that really shifted for me was when I started to be able to step out of the idea that I needed to continue to be the same person, right? And that sounds a little surface at first, but I think, allowing ourselves to truly become more and more authentic and really access that level of change that requires of us is difficult. And for a lot of reasons. A lot of it's stuff we put on ourselves, but a lot of it too is that we realize if we allow ourselves to change, then our environment is going to change, and the friends we have might change, and the ways that we interact might change, and we don't, in that new space, we won't know how to do any of that, right? And then the fear of the judgment of like, oh, but you were into this and now you're into this, so what, are you fickle, or like what, you're just gonna always be flip-flopping, or and so really plugging into the idea that in nature-based practices, spirituality practices, evolution and transformation is celebrated. It's not seen as a mistake that held you back. It's seen as an evolution into the next best thing. And that's a celebrated piece. But in human life, we tend to be told to pick a road and stick to it, or be a type of person. And we build our lives around being that kind of person.
Yes.
And so that's been a big piece for me. And then also really, as part of that, I think really intrinsic to that is the idea that we're also multifaceted. And again, we're encouraged to be, one thing. I think, Love, that you've had a lot of experience with this, with the different things that you've worked in. It's like, oh, well, are you a priestess, or are you a writer, or are you a musician, or are you, and people want to have one thing to identify us with. And in reality, we are multifaceted, multidimensional beings. And it's hard as humans to allow that kind of expansiveness in, and to not judge ourselves when we're like, oh, well, yeah, I did used to see things this way. Now I see them this way, and not feel self-judgmental about that. We tend to think, oh, that means I had it wrong before, instead of seeing that, oh no, that was a stepping stone to greater understanding, and now I can transform into this next thing, right? We tend to look at it as failure or success, rather than as these beautiful evolutionary stepping stones. But so I apologize if that's not like a really specific event in my life that caused that, because I think a lot of things in my life have caused that to develop over time. But it's something I talk about a lot with people I work with, is that willingness to evolve. We fight it. We're human. We fight change. And I'm a Cancerian. I love a good rut. I love to be in a rut where I know what's what. I'm super happy with that. And so I fight it and fight it. But every time I allow myself to get to that other side of it, I think, why was I fighting this? Like, this is so much better. Right. So I just think that's more of like a breakthrough for me, was that conceptual piece around evolution, in spiritual evolution and personal evolution, and allowing that multifaceted way of being shine out, and then allowing that to affect how we work with and see other people, like not expecting them to always be one thing, right? Like I'm a parent. Like if I meet somebody at a PTA meeting, I kind of have a thing in my head, like that's who they are. They're this like organized PTA mom person, right? And then if I later find out that they're these amazing, exotic dancers or artists or something, like we hit that clash, right? Where we're like, but I saw you as this.
Yes.
So that must be what you are. And training our minds to really move past that and see that multifaceted piece. So the more I'm able to integrate that into my own way of being and allowing that for myself, and then also being aware of how I can allow that for other people, has really been a big change for me over the years.
Amazing. So your breakthrough is part giving yourself permission to transform, to evolve, to be the thing, whatever the thing is that spirit is calling you to be.
Yeah.
To not feel that guilt. I think like we're programmed particularly as women, right?
Yes.
That, like this is the box that you're supposed to stay in. And I tell you, this panel here, y'all don't know nothing about a box. Nothing. All three of you are like,
some people may wish we did, but no, we don't.
Right. And I mean, I want to introduce, and I know there's questions. People are coming into the chat. I don't know if you all have enabled your comments on your StreamYard, but you can also tag people, invite people to come in and watch the stream. And I'll text all of you the link now. The link is live on my Facebook page. So if you want to, let people know that you're live, you can do so. But it's also streaming to YouTube. So if you go to TaShia Asanti on YouTube, to my channel, you can also view and make comments and watch the show right now. But I want to introduce Aiclia. I kind of gave y'all a little glimpse of who they are at the beginning of the show. Can you tell us, by Curian, you have your ID, your name up there, about your breakthrough? How did you break through? What were some of the tools that you use? What is one of your monumental, like, life shifting, life transforming, or life defining, that's the word I was searching for, breakthroughs?
Well, I just want to start with, I feel so honored by the invitation to be here, and just by you in my life. I learned so much working with you, and over the years, I've just felt the gift of being one of the people that you invite in. So I just really want to say thank you for that and honor that. It's very, it always makes me feel so deeply grateful and seen. So thank you for that. And interestingly, when I think about it really deeply, I think the core of my breakthrough, and in some ways I think I'm still in it, is learning that who I am is valuable, not just what I do. And not to say that I'm a very action-oriented person, so I'm not saying that action isn't important. It's informed by who I am, but the people in my life need to value me as a person first, and then as a doer second. And I because that's otherwise you can end up in that sort of transactional place. And I also think that another big one for me was recognizing that no one else was going to prioritize my life. It was up to me to do it. So
come through. I got to put that quote in the chat. Go on.
And then putting first things first was a big thing. I had gotten into, honestly, a very, I would say, bad situation. And a friend of mine gave me some advice that I thought was really great. He said, look, put the people that matter most to you and the things that you find most fulfilling, do those things first. And then you're going to really not have time for all the other stuff. And he was totally right. It sounds really simple, and it's not that easy. And obviously there's sometimes you have to do things that are quite boring and difficult, because that's just part of life and survival. But outside of that, if it's not energy positive, if it's not someone who I have like a lot of respect for, or that kind of thing, and it's not an activity that is truly fulfilling, and it's not about survival, then it needs to be last on my list. And that is really, those two things have really made a huge difference for me in my ability to show up in my life in a way that is genuine and feels like it allows me. I shouldn't even say that. It does allow me. I wanted to write a book forever, and I'm 18,000 words into it now.
Yeah.
And that wouldn't happen if I didn't decide that I was going to prioritize my life, instead of waiting for someone else to do it for me or tell me I was allowed to. So I think that's the other thing. I stopped waiting for permission.
I stopped waiting for permission. Somebody put that in the chat. I know y'all are listening to this wisdom. I'm so excited. Thank you, Aiclia. That was so powerful. We may have questions for you from the chat, comments. Y'all put your questions in there for the speakers. Please share the video. If you're just tuning in, you're watching Breakthrough Women, and I'm your host, Love TaShia Asanti. We're joined by Leigh Grode, Aiclia by Curian, Yolanda Gautier, and hopefully Rory's going to be. Oh, I think I see Rory. Rory's back. We've been having a few technical difficulties, but we are figuring it out. So let's see if we can get her. Yes.
Hi.
Oh, my whole team is there. I'm so excited.
It's kind of you to say we are having technical difficulties.
That's all right. It happens to the best of us, let me tell you. Well, I want to introduce Yolanda Gautier, who I lovingly know as Oshunike. I call her one of my sisters from another mother. We have had so many incredible journeys together. We were just joking the other day. We're like, we had a time last night. because anytime we do something, or I like drag her into doing something with me, we have this amazing journey. And usually it ends with her looking flawless and dressed to the nines. And I'm a bit disheveled, and she loves me anyway. And, but we have a lot of fun. We laugh a lot. And that's so, so important. Yolanda, can you talk a bit? And I want to tell you a little bit about her actually before I introduce her, because I've told all of you, everybody, something about each of you, both what you have in your bios and then what I've learned about you over the years. Whether serving as a clinician, working with healing sexual trauma, or as an advocate for women and children impacted by family violence, or speaking out against gender violence, or as a facilitator assisting organizations in developing approaches to confront health disparities and healing oppression or racism. This has been Yolanda's role to support and strengthen individuals and families, and to help foster and create healed communities. She has served as Chief Programs Officer for the Front Range Area Health Education Center. I met Yolanda as an executive director of a leading domestic violence organization, and she has just continued to do work to heal and empower women. She's also a priestess of Oshun and a renowned speaker. And she is a member of the Rotary Club, which she's been educating me about. She's recently elected as an executive officer of that organization and is preparing for international travel to help do visioning for the next era of work. And she's just, I can't say enough about the work that she does and how she supports not only herself, but other women and men and youth in breaking through. So y'all please join me in welcoming Yolanda Gautier. Could you talk a little bit about one of your life-defining breakthroughs and what tools you use to make that breakthrough?
Well, first of all, thank you for having me. And like Rory, I too am saying it is so good when you say we are having technical difficulties. The power had just gone out, and I'm like, oh my gosh.
Oh my God. Well,
So,
you all here anyway.
but I am here. But you know, as you said, whenever we are together, things just happen.
Yeah.
And so I would say that one of my life defining moments was really recognizing the things that I could control and the things that I could not.
Mm.
And that once I let go of those things that I could not control, it made a world of difference. I started loving me more.
Mm.
I loved who I was with more. I saw my own greatness. You know, sometimes it's hard when you've been taught to think of others first, to care for others first, to put others first. You're not a good mom if you don't do X. You're not a good daughter if you don't do this. You can't be a good partner if you're saying, no, I don't feel like doing the dishes and you can do them. Or no, weren't you eating before you met me? You figure out how to use that stove in the kitchen. All of those things that in the what I call life's floating gender scripts, they drop down in your life and they open up to this place that say, and you read it and it says, oh my, I'm not being the best whatever because my script says I should be doing X. Well, the thing that needs to happen is we have to throw that script away.
Mm.
We have to create what is going to work for us in our world. And so once I figured that out, and the other thing was really figuring out that the things that I do are special to the world.
Mm.
They're not something that everybody else does just because that's the right thing to do. And how I used to define myself was when somebody would say, oh, that was really nice. Oh, that was really great. Look at what you did. I would just say, oh, that was nothing. Oh, everybody does that. That's no big deal. Well, what I realized and the breakthrough was that, you know what? I'm me, and I'm special, and I'm a queen, and I've got it all, and I'm the best. I'm the best me that ever rocked this world. And so as long as I'm doing that, whatever else comes up, I just listen to spirit, and they'll say, do it or don't do it. Sometimes we have a dialogue because, of course, I'm going to try and convince them of something I need to be doing when spirit is just saying, you just need to listen and let it flow. So I would say those were the breakthroughs for me. And that it truly has been my child, who is actually a man, but he's still mom's baby. So, as he has helped to define me, to show me, and I mean define me in a way that I never really saw myself. Like I always say that because of him, I was a great mom. Because of him, I learned so much about just how to be me and move in this world. So for all of those moms that are out there who are concerned about, am I being a good parent? Am I being a good mom? Am I doing the right things? Am I letting them grow? I say to you, you are their mother. You are not the guard. You're not necessarily the gatekeeper to keep them chained behind a fence. And that when you live well, your children live well. And when you are a consistent parent, your kids get it. And I would just say that, yeah, he helped me to really become and embrace the woman that I am today. So yeah.
Beautiful, beautiful. Well, thank you, Oshunike. We're gonna come back to Leigh. I know you've been seeing some of I don't know if you are all able to see some of the comments, but people are commenting. Pinky Dewberry says, I'm me, I'm special, I'm a queen, I got it all. That's a breakthrough from Oshunike. There was another one, throw the script away, quoting something that our last speaker said. There's the quote that came from Aiclia earlier, no one was going to prioritize my life except for me. And so speaking about, finding the time to write their book, to write their stories. You see, I doubled that because I know you have a few books in you. But I want to come back to you, Leigh. And I mean, you took every hit to me from what I've witnessed in watching you. You took the hits and the things that were challenging that you went through in life, and I watched you turn them into medicine. You talked about the brutal attack that you went through early in your life, and you made a award-winning documentary out of it that was screened in film festivals all over the world to shine a light on violence and the importance of us doing work to educate and to promote inclusivity and love and to advocate against violence. I mean, I just think that's so admirable that the things that could have taken you down elevated you. And there is a spiritual teaching in my tradition, in the Ifa tradition, that talks about the things that happen that can harm us end up being the very things that bring our blessings to us, right? There's things that had I not gone through XYZ, I never would have done this, which led to my blessing, or as we say in Ifa, my ire, my good favor, my good luck. So could you talk a little bit about how you picked the tools that would help you? Like, did you read books? Did you talk to breakthrough women like yourself? How did you learn those tools that help you to overcome and break through?
Thank you. Thank you for all of this. Thank you, love TaShia, and all of you women who I've never met in flesh yet, but I'm sure we've shared space on the ethers. We have a common goal here. How the tools. There was believe it or not, as a child and experiencing such extreme violence perpetrated by my own parents was very confusing. And there was always a part of me, like I shared, that little girl standing at my great-grandmother's door, and that feeling of awe that I experienced that evening.
Yeah.
And I always, no matter what was going on, and it was extreme, I always held on to that feeling of awe. I couldn't identify it, but I held it. And I would go outside and I would scream at the sky. I would just get it out of my body as a young child. And I found drugs. Believe it or not, drugs helped me for many years. It took, I think I was self-medicating. When I got clean and sober, 37 and a half, almost 38 years ago, everything started to really shift. Not right away. I had a lot of things to overcome physically before I could do any emotional work or eventually spiritual work. I've always been spiritual, only I didn't have words to define it. I always had a heart that cared. I mean, my community, when I got clean, even before I got clean, my community around me was dropping dead on the streets. And as a queer identified woman, and I was so young, I was in my young 20s when my peers were dying. And it was like, was I gonna get into the consciousness of men against women? No, I was gonna roll up my sleeves and get to work. And something happened when I was able to let go of self completely and serve. Mm-hmm. And when I was able to learn that space, that space grew for me. And I almost became like addicted to caregiving because it fed me so much. But every time the person who was in the bed would transition, I went through terrible changes. It was really uncomfortable. So I eventually started, my teacher appeared to me, and she came to me, and I started studying with this woman. For 23 years, I studied with Madhya Sati Bhagavati, and it was about interfaith, and it was about being a caregiver. It was about not dying, that the person who's dying is dying, but you're not dying. And then eventually that morphed into an understanding of what is death and being a caregiver and learning to be selfless, that it has nothing to do with Leigh, nothing to do. I have no hands on it at all. I have arms to carry, but I have no hands. That was a very important part of my life. And then I left the country because I got a chance to study abroad, and that's where I went to film school. And there it was different, but then AIDS was there too, and so my work became my dissertation. I started interviewing Holocaust survivors and looking for a comparative study of AIDS, the Holocaust. How as a society do we survive large numbers of death? And that's what eventually led me to make the film Outcast. And but the 4.5 years of interviewing Holocaust survivors, visiting concentration camps, that changed my life in a whole other way. And it brought to the surface my victim. I'm a Jew, therefore I'm a victim. No, that got washed out really right away. And so every time something that was a societal norm of behavior, something we give ourselves permission to do that doesn't feed our soul, and it has to be removed. And so that started happening when I would say, okay, help me. That was my prayer. My prayer was, help me. And I was always provided with the teacher or the situation to help me. And that has been consistent my entire life. I figured if God gave me the parents they gave, that I would have a very tight connection with that creator self, that divine love. And that's been the truth for me, because if I was going to choose this path in this life to heal so much from all these other lifetimes with these two people, today I take care of my mother. My mother hasn't, my mother hasn't changed very much. But the lesson that I learned, because I had to learn that I am raised, I'm grown. I don't need my mommy. And releasing the mommy as an adult to be able to see her is like what was also shared about, it's not about me. That's her stuff. If she wants to be cray cray and do all that stuff and be mean, I just take a step back. And now I've learned, and this is a tool, but it's taken me years to get here. Now, when she starts spewing her ugliness, I don't shame her. She's dementia. I'm not shaming my mom. I just repeat what she said to me. Go, okay, all right. So, I'm fat. Oh, okay, that's really nice. Okay, I'm fat. And what else? Oh, yes, I'm tardy. And so is that passive aggressive? No, it's me acknowledging it, taking the wind out of it, and putting her over there and me over here. And give her a hug and kiss and say, "I love you, Mama. What else can I do?" And that's. I never dreamed of that. I never dreamed that was possible. But the truth of the matter is that whoever you are, wherever you stand in your life, and if you're suffering, then you don't need to suffer. Pain, okay, we have pain. But you don't need to suffer. Suffering is a choice. Suffering is based in ego. And the work that has to be done, the number one tool is diminishing the ego. Being free enough to stand up and say, wow, this is great.
Breakthrough. That's what you're talking about. Yes. If you're just joining us, you're watching Breakthrough Women, a national dialogue with women across the nation. Please share the video, tag somebody you know that needs to be part of this dialogue. We have some wonderful people in the chat. Just want to acknowledge our sponsors, House of Pinky and Noble Trinity Media. I want to also acknowledge all of the sisters across the nation who are tuning in, who are watching us, who are commenting in the chat. And Darlene wrote, "I got rid of the shoulds." She was quoting one of the speakers. And if you have questions for the panel, also Darlene says, "Ashe, say that about suffering." About that suffering. So in other words, when your comment or your statement that suffering is a choice that's based in ego. So let's jump around. We have, let's see, Rory, I think you're back. Yes, you are on. Yes, you're live. We'll go to you. We'll go to Aiclia. We'll come back to you, Yolanda, to talk a little bit about the work that you're doing right now. Tell us about your projects, how people can support you. If you were in at the top of the show tonight, you heard, we have Leigh, who has her own healing practice. She is a coach. She is a medium. She channels. She brings messages from spirit, from the ancestors, from our divine. We have Aiclia, who does amazing work with the organization Her Many Voices, as well as has a fabulous podcast. Could you tell us the name of your podcast, Aiclia?
Business as Unusual.
I'm going to put it in the chat. You can find her on LinkedIn as well. Business as Unusual. And I had the good fortune of being a guest on the podcast. And I tell you, it's just refreshing. It's cutting edge. It's not, to me, I love original stuff. I just don't believe in, I don't like to duplicate. I like to break ground. I like to originate. And it's such a refreshing theme. And the discussion is always something groundbreaking with the people that she chooses to be on the podcast. I've watched several of the episodes and had a great time. With Rory, amazing work as a teacher, as a priestess, as an educator, empowering. She talked early in the show about giving herself permission to evolve, to not be stuck in boxes that people want to lock you into, saying that you have to be this. And you heard Oshunike's work, Yolanda, about, helping women to overcome cycles of domestic violence. I mean, that's just one part of it. But through her love, through her care, through her encouragement, bringing valuable resources, she's helped so many women change their lives, right? So if you have questions, y'all can post the questions in the chat. Yes, Joan says, thank you for these deep shares. So resonating and powerful. Darlene says, there is no glory in suffering. Absolutely not. It's like the suffrage. We are ending the suffrage. We are breaking through. So tell us a bit about your projects, Leigh, what you're working on, and then we'll go around to Aiclia, Rory, and Yolanda. Tell us about what you're working on. And if you have a link or website, tell us your website, how people can get in touch with you.
Sure.
They need your services or wisdom or want you to be a speaker for something. Leigh, would you start, please?
Absolutely. Thank you again. What I'm working on right now is people coming forward that say they want to be, the term authentic self. My job is to help you remove for you to remove your obstacles that stand in the way of you becoming who you were born to be, to get realigned with your soul, to figure out what it is that you're doing or what you're avoiding doing. And what I do is, in a coaching situation, I'll do spiritual coaching. And I don't want to get into specifics of that because each person is individual, but that's one of my certifications. But I've been doing a lot of channeling with people and for people. There are a lot of people leaving the planet right now, and it's a little stunning and numbing. So I've been doing some of my projects are about either groups or one-on-one situations where people want to either understand or connect with somebody. And it's really important at this time to be in the truth and be grounded in the now. And if there's any way I can help, I'm here.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And how will they contact you? Do you have an email?
I have a website.
Yes, tell us what that is.
I'm
sorry, www.
Yeah. Today's world, you don't have to www anymore, but it's leighgrode.com, and it'll bring you in, and you can get into contact with me that way. And my email is my name @gmail.com, or it's leighgrodecoaching@gmail.com.
Perfect. Blessing, Shahada. Welcome to Breakthrough Women. Good to have you, family. And I don't know I think we were supposed to go to you, Rory, next. So I'm going to jump back down and come back up. Rory, tell us about your services, your projects, your incredible training. I was telling Leigh actually last night about your tarot training, your master diviner using the medium of tarot. I tell people about you all the time. And, like, if you want the best, if you want to learn tarot, contact her. So tell us about your services and your projects and how to find you.
Is that why my ears are burning all the time?
Probably so, just a little.
This is the part I'm always the most uncomfortable with, right? Talking about things that I'm actually doing. I love to hear what other people are doing and talk about them with that. But I'll muddle through here. First, I just want to say I was so discombobulated by my tech. I wanted to say thank you for having all of us here, and honor to you and your ancestors and the women here for holding up this space and being a part of this. But I just had to put that out there because, of course, I had these grand plans of saying that when I got on at first, and then I kept getting disconnected. It's my way. This is my authentic self. To run into that. So my work, I'm also what I guess I would call like a spiritual coach. I work with people a lot through divination, listening for messages from guides and ancestors. But Leigh, I love the overlap. The thing I talk about the most in my work is getting people to really dig into being their authentic self. And I think, we can run into a lot of catchphrases and things that we just hear as cliches these days with that. But one of the ways I talk about that with people is the idea that if we say we're born here with a purpose and with a path, and, we want to know what that is, everyone's like, what's my path? What's my purpose? The only way we're going to figure out what that is by being 100% ourselves. Because otherwise we are walking somebody else's path. And so it's so important to get honest and real about stripping away the things that we carry because they were what we were taught, or they're embedded through the larger society, or just, you know, we have friends that are inputting. I always like to give the caveat that, you know, I feel fortunate. I have some beautiful, amazing friends, and I definitely let their opinions in, and I do let them influence me because they are also on these paths of being authentic, right? But in a more general sense, so it's important to listen to your elders, to listen to people who know some stuff, right? It's not about blocking everyone out. But it's that quest for finding that true self, who we really are inside. That's the only way we're going to figure out, why am I here? What am I supposed to be doing? How can I serve? The more we are ourselves, the more we can serve in those ways back out into the world that we're most needed for. And you know, sometimes that's things that we imagine they are, and sometimes it's things that we never imagined. I remember a long time ago, I sat with you, love, and you were talking about how you saw that I was going to have all these students and these people, and I was like, what are you you are crazy. What are you talking? I don't want to, there's no way that I'm going to like be in. Well, sure enough, what is this, like over a decade later? Yeah, I mean, that's one of the things that I like to do is teach classes and talk about different ways to think about spirituality and that authenticity and how those can tie together. And that a real spiritual path isn't about doing what I do or doing what someone else does. It's about what speaks to you. How does that spirit voice speak to you? And you know, many mountains lead to the same sky. That find your voice, because that's the way you're going to hear that information. And I think that also really moves into supporting true diversity. You know, the best way to support diversity is to support that diversity within ourselves. Like I mentioned earlier, we're all very multifaceted, but we're locking ourselves into categories so often. And the more we can be authentic with ourselves, the more we realize we have a million different facets, and we have that diversity within us as well. And we can allow all of that in. So that's a lot of what I do with people that I work with is talk to them about what's coming through for you right now. That's not about fortune telling what's going to happen tomorrow, but is really like breaking open your path right now. Like, what if you look square in the face? Can you really gain that wisdom from? And then we have a good laugh about how hard it is to change and all that stuff. But yeah, so sorry, I kind of wander off. That's what I do. That's very authentic for me as well. But so for what I do, I teach and I do divination for people, and I help people figure out how to walk their path in these really authentic ways through intuition and just through my practical knowledge of having been around the block a few times and figured out things here and there.
Just a couple times.
Right, just a couple. And we combine all that up though.
Couple 100,000, no.
Right, a couple 100,000 times. But I think another piece of how I work is really linking together that physical experience with the spiritual experience. I find it more valuable than trying to compartmentalize those things. I think we think like, I'm working on my spirit and I'm doing spiritual stuff, and now I have to get to work and go to my job and do my physical stuff. And for me, I really try to help people understand that spirituality is a daily walk. It's every footstep you take. It's a perception of the world around you, and an attitude and a way that you speak and act in the world. And it's not segmented out of the fact that you're going to the grocery store or things like that, right? So I really try to link people up between that spirit and that's really what I would say I work at. I'm also a writer. I love to write. I know that you keep encouraging me and so kindly in that direction too. So I'm hoping to really dive into that a little bit more. But I write, and you can find a lot of that on my Instagram, which is at Rory Lula.
Yes.
And then my Facebook is The Sacred Table on Facebook, and I post a lot of the bits I write on there. But yeah, as far as like what projects do I have, what am I doing? I don't know. You know me, love. Like, what am I not doing right now? I'm just doing something different every 5 minutes. But in that bigger sense, yeah, with the work I do and in service and out in the world, which you have always inspired me so much in the ways that you do that daily walk. Part of it's just being there for people day to day, and part of it's doing that work of sitting with people and really diving into what is your path, what's opening for you, what are you being called to do if we take away all of those outer pieces that I mean, let's face it, we all carry with us. We just chip away at them, right, little by little. So
Thank you.
I mean,
Wow.
I hope that made sense. And
Oh yeah. Oh man. I mean, so everything. But I'm not gonna. We only have a little bit of time left, so I want to get Oshunike and Aiclia. Aiclia, could you tell us a little bit about your projects, your services? As a, I know you're a consultant. You do so many amazing things. Could you tell us about it and where to find you if we need your services?
So my website is bicurian.com, and I popped it in the private chat if you want to. And then, so I do have a consulting company called Bicurian, and I work with CEOs, founders, and people running projects to help them with organizational strategy and resource management. I work from 3 different source values: integrity, clarity, and sustainability. Integrity is what makes everything possible. Clarity is about seeing what's actually happening and not letting ourselves get distracted by what we think should be happening or what we wish were happening. And sustainability is about, if it matters to me today, it's going to matter to me tomorrow. So the plans that I make today for my work need to include some kind of energy and resource for tomorrow, as well as obviously most of the people that I know that are passionate about their projects do tend to get a little over focused and maybe lose track of the things in life that make the projects worthwhile, the family, friends, and fulfilling behaviors and experiences. So that's really that. Their Business is Unusual, which you mentioned before, is a podcast that I do. It highlights, same thing, people running mission-driven organizations and or specific projects from the perspective of saying, I would like us to focus on how we are making a new normal. Everything that comes to your door through, I don't care what it is, CNN, that all of that is about selling you the idea that you're flawed and broken, and they have something that you can pay for to make you better. And it's 100% a fiction. And so for me, it's about highlighting people, situations, and companies that are saying, let me do business in a different way, that starts from our assumption that we're all in this together. And I'm going to touch a little bit on, because it's important to me, that one of the victories that I recognize kind of ties into that, which is the ways in which white supremacy is the core issue that we are dealing with. And until we name and address its effects, we will be stuck in this narcissistic cultural experience. And that me as a white person has a very strong mandate to take that on and to be part of dismantling it, because our Black and brown sisters, mostly honestly, have been the ones who have borne that burden. And so that for me is a big part of the work that I think is important to do. And I just am so grateful to have so many people in my life who are on that journey with me to build. I don't think we can fix the system we're in. I think it works exactly the way it's supposed to. And I want to be in the fight and in the creation process with the people who are building another system that is actually functional for us and the planet.
Love it. Oh my goodness.
Love it. Yes. Thank you.
Thank you.
And I appreciate you so much for bringing people together that are doing this work, because there's so many more of us that are on that journey, and the minority has a louder megaphone. But honestly, I think we have more going for us, and we can together overcome their silly little megaphone.
Jay, speak on it. Speak on it. Wow. If you're watching tonight, you know this is an epic group of speakers, an epic group of women. Darlene said, I love that, building another system. And we got your, let's see, yes, we put your bicurian.com website. If you want to know more or contact Aiclia and bring her into your business or corporation or nonprofit, she is phenomenal. And I can attest to that. I have this image of you. I remember so often when I would walk past your office, your head would be buried down and you would be working those budgets and fundraising and making great connections in community. And it was just such a pivotal time in the groundbreaking programs that you spearheaded. And so just phenomenal work. So please do get in touch, y'all, if you need that that medicine that she's
Thank you
bringing
so
to the
much,
program.
TaShia.
Yeah.
Appreciate you.
And I also had the great honor of working beside Yolanda when she was the executive director of a nationally celebrated domestic violence agency. And we did so much work together, and I got to support her and her vision. And she was a fearless leader. And now, you know, doing this work on another level with the Front Range organization. And I know, you know, they've got to be blessed to have you as one of their leaders. And so, can you tell us about the services, the work that you do, how folk can get in touch with you, where they can find you, your website, all of that? And I know it's a lot. We only have like 5 minutes left, but if you can at least do 2 minutes and tell us about your work.
So what I would say is that as a Gemini, I am multifaceted, doing a bazillion things all of the time. And while some might say that it means that I have little focus, that is so not true.
Mhm.
I grew up with a mother who always reminded us that your world should be greater than the end of your block. And so
Mm.
as I look through that,
Put that
it's
up.
what has allowed me to really be present and to be able to do so many different things. But I found that at the root of all of it, it is really about addressing trauma and how that impacts each and every one of us because it's different. I could have been right now. I'm working with refugees and immigrants who are addressing their trauma. So initially, when I thought about this program, I thought, oh, it's because they left and that they left where they were and that's why they've come here. But what I realized, and probably knew all along, was the trauma of actually trying to live in this place that we call the United States of America.
Mm.
And what does that mean to us? How does that look to us? What are the things that people see when they come here? What did they see about us before they got here? What are the stories that they have been told about who people are and what people bring? And so that whole idea of around healing that trauma, yes, it includes what it was like when they left the countries that they were living in. But it also talks about the trauma that happens when they have lived here in the US. And the demands that we say, oh, yes, come here. What is it? The Statue of Liberty, give me your tired and your poor, blah, 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 blah. Okay, well, who does that really mean? Does that mean me? Because I'm certainly not seeing that on all levels. And so I would say that I have moved across age boundaries. So I'm working with youth, I'm working with seniors, I'm working with elders who are about to make their transition. Did I ever think that that was going to be my job? No, I thought I was going to be a librarian. So, because I like reading. So I thought I'd be able to be a librarian, and that would be my reason for being in the library all the time reading books. And I could say, oh, that's for my job. But I realized that no, that isn't what happened. And so with that, it's with Front Range Area Health Education Center, we're creating pathways for youth who get this inkling that, wow, I think I want to be in the healthcare field. I'm not sure I want to be a doctor or a nurse, but I think I want to do something different. But what is most important for me is really looking at those dreams and ideas of Black and brown girls who say, I want to be in healthcare. What is that going to look like for me? I never see anybody who looks like me when I go to the doctor or I go to the dentist, or I've never seen a researcher who looks like me. So that's one of the pathways that we work with are those youth, those young girls who who at 6th, 7th, and 8th grade say, I want to be this. And we allow them to hold on to that because there are just certain affirmations that they don't receive or that they don't hear. And then the other piece is also about working with seniors. And as you know, Love, I have worked with them in trying to, and what I call living your life like it's golden. And yes, that is a song, but it is about how do I live my life every day like it is golden, in spite of what others have told me about growing old. Hey, that's their thing. My thing is I am going to do the best and the most that I could ever dream of. I'm going to travel. Does it mean I'm going to travel by myself? It might mean that. Does it mean that I am some person who is so brave and strong that I don't need anybody else? Doesn't mean that at all. It just means you weren't ready to go when the train was ready to go. So I'm there and working with that and just really wanting this world to be a different place. And when everybody kept talking about at the height of the pandemic, oh gosh, I'll be so glad when we return to normal. I was so happy we were not going to return to normal. Now, did I see what's happening now? No, I didn't. Would I have wanted it to be a little bit different? Absolutely. But you know what, people? That is our past. And we cannot bring that back to our present if we want to have a future. We do that. And so with that, I just say today I'm making Florida water. Tomorrow, I may be looking at seeds that need to be planted and trying to figure out who can I call to dig up my garden. Because I just really don't want to do that part of it. I do want to see the fruits of their labor. And I will definitely give them credit.
Right.
I just don't want to do that. And so it's like, well, how do I balance this? What people can I bring together so that they make the connections that are going to work for the good of all of us? I want what's for the highest good of each one of us. So I do a number of things. I do consulting for domestic and sexual violence programs, specifically in the areas of how do you grow your program to reflect the needs of the community that you are serving. What do we do when we are? I have a good friend that always says, as an attorney, when I started working with domestic violence survivors, I realized that I could use my powers for good. And I have borrowed that and am working really hard to use my powers for good. So today it may be a direct thing that happens. And sometimes, like, my lifelong challenge is learning how to be tactful. I haven't mastered that yet. Sometimes that comes off as being crude, but it isn't that. Sometimes it's just direct and in your face because we need to hear that. And I don't mean to do it in a mean, harmful, hurtful way. But sometimes we just need to hear, hey, just tell me the truth. Either you can do that, I can do it, or we can't. That's all I need to know. And if you tell me we can't, of course, I'm going to figure out how to walk around that and figure out a different way to make it happen. So, I mean, by training, I am a social worker. But there are so many things that I don't remember about what I learned in school, which I think, which I really feel have been, have created the best of me. Because yes, those are all important. And I don't say, no, you shouldn't go to school. You shouldn't do those things. But sometimes we just need to have it plainly given to each one of us without all of therapeutic words, or as people in my family will say, "Oh, now you're trying to social work me, now you're trying to hypnotize me." No, I'm not. This is just how it is. And so I do counseling, and like everyone else, it's always a blend of spirit. And I would say that that really is the foundation, that spiritual piece of how to interpret what is going on, because it's not my life that I want to recreate with someone else. But what I'm wanting to do is to help that person grow and see who they are becoming, because we're always in a state of becoming.
Mm.
And if we remain static, we cease to live and find the joy that is there for each and every one of us. I get it that there are some people who want to live in negativity, and I just have to say, thank you very much. See you later.
See you later.
See you later. Because that's not where I find the joy and the spirit and the sunshine of life.
Mm.
So if
Wow.
people want to get in touch with me, they can
Yes.
they can email me.
Yes.
And that email address is Gotier, Gotier, Yolanda@gmail.com. Pure and simple.
Got it. Got it. If you want to learn more about the Front Range organization that Oshunike works with, or her consulting business, or bring her out to be a speaker for your conference or gathering, her email is there in the chat. And I just want to read a comment by Darlene. She says, "We have buried and suppressed so much. Sometimes it takes a shout to wake us up and to hear to do self-care. Ashe, sister, ashe. Give thanks." Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. If you please share the video, if you're just tuning in, or if you've been watching all along, and I see some of you have stayed on the whole show, you're watching Breakthrough Women, a national dialogue. My name is TaShia Asanti. I'm your host, moderator for the discussion. You can learn more about the work that I do at www.officialtashiaasanti.com. I'm also the author of 9 books. You can find my books on Amazon.com or at my website. And my latest novel is Any Heart Open, which is a story about defining love for ourselves, within ourselves, and amongst ourselves in ways that work for us. So please do support all of the amazing women who are part of this program. And I just want to thank you for tuning in, for spending, you could have spent this last hour with anyone else, but you chose to spend it with Breakthrough Women. And we're going to be coming back every last Friday of the month with another phenomenal panel of Breakthrough Women. And I tell you, if you are going through something right now, right? If you are feeling like you can't go another day, I want to encourage you to look for the resources and support that you need to break through this current space, because sometimes we can't do it by ourselves. We need support. We need to put our hand in the hand of another sister. We need to sit with each other and be present. This group is inclusive of all self-identified women. And of course, the broadcast is for everyone, anyone, because these messages that the speakers brought tonight are universal. So break through. Don't give up. First of all, don't give up. But if you need to surrender to win, do that. And I too am a survivor and a thriver, because I always wanted to move beyond surviving to thriving. So from being a teenage mom, right, to breaking through from the welfare system, to being a 6-figure earner, to being on national TV and on billboards at the Beverly Center, right? Spirit has taken me on one heck of a journey. And so I'm honored to be a channel to bring the message of powerful breakthrough women who are doing the darn thing, as each of these women are. So I want to thank you, Leigh Grode, Aiclia Bicurian, Rory Mcmahan, and Yolanda Gautier for joining us tonight. And to you, our viewers and supporters, thank you for being here with us. Please share the video because you know there's some sisters and women that need to hear the messages of these queens, of these amazing and powerful women who have already broken through or are continuing to do so. Joan says, thank you so much. Give thanks. Just a powerful duo. And they have been, Leigh and her spouse have been supporters of some of the most famous in the world through one of their other businesses. So I tell you, it's just so much medicine. But we're going to go ahead and close. We're going to close with an affirmation for all women in the world, especially those who are dealing with oppression, who are dealing with domestic violence, who are carrying scars that they've never put a name on. We lift you up. We put light around you right here and right now. We speak, yes, your victory over whatever challenges that you've been facing. It's already done. Yes, Sharon Ashetta says, thank you. And the Goddess Temple, I have to shout out to the Goddess Temple of Palm Springs because they're another powerful women's organization that help women break through from all backgrounds. Phenomenal group. And so we love you and we'll be pulling for you. And we'll see you next month with another powerful group of speakers. And thank you again to all of you who took your time to be with us tonight. I love you much, fam. Good night, everybody. Good night. Yay. Travel well.